Good morning. I am Coach Kim. Welcome to another edition of my morning live broadcast. I am talking today about Thankful Thursdays. And what I thought I would do is talk a little bit about how times of crisis, can actually be either managed better through attitudes of gratitude or actually help to be transformational moments. So I did a little research this morning and I found some articles through a website called Living Greater Good. It's a scientific kind of article, but they do a lot of research on the brain and the mind and how different approaches help you live a better, happier life. It's kind of cool website. So 6 things grateful people do regularly. One is that once in a while they do think about death or loss. Now, this seems probably counterintuitive, but thinking about what you could lose or where things might be, if somebody died or you lost something, helps you appreciate what you have in the moment. So they actually intentionally do that. The second thing is they take time to smell the roses. And we're going to talk about this at the end as one of your practices, but being in the present, being in the moment, and actually looking around and paying attention to your surroundings can bring about gratitude. And the third thing, they take the good things as gifts, not birthrights. We all know people who act very entitled about things. And the whole point of this is that nothing is ours just because it's here. It means they're gifts and that we should appreciate them. And as we do, then we feel more gratitude. They're grateful to people and not just things. And I'm going to add to people who even hurt them. So that's another piece that we'll talk about in a second. But we're grateful to individuals in our lives. And then they mentioned the pancakes. I thought this was an interesting concept. Instead of saying to somebody, I'm grateful for you, give specifics. I'm grateful for the pancakes you made me this morning when you were in a hurry or something like that. Or I'm grateful for the foot rub you gave me even though you were tired. So those things are much more personal, and we can really hear that. And we feel gratitude if we're given that. And then we feel it when we tell people that. They think outside the box. And this is the piece I'm going to talk about more. So people with an attitude of gratitude tend to be in more of a place of thankfulness, even during the hard times. And so let's talk about that. So that means not only will the gratitude attitude help, it is essential. This is research done by a man named Robert Emmons, how gratitude can help you through hard times. It's in that Greater Good magazine I mentioned. They have a website, they have a podcast, it looks like. So check that out. So not only will a gratitude attitude help, it is essential. So the whole point of it is when we have one, we feel energized, it can help heal, and it can bring hope, which are all very important. And is being grateful, which is a choice, not just feeling grateful. And that they said this is a very important distinguishing factor. So we can choose to be grateful, even if we're not certainly feeling grateful. We view life from its entirety when we choose to be grateful. So when we choose to be grateful, we look at everything that we have in our lives. And then we can, even though we might be going through something hard, we can see the whole picture. And then we choose to be grateful for what we do have. During good times, it's easy to feel grateful. And what they were talking about in the article is that when things are good, sure, it's easy to feel grateful. But then we start taking things for granted. And then we start feeling invulnerable. And I've been looking a lot at this pandemic that's been happening as sort of this thing, right? Things in America, anyway, have been wonderful in a lot of ways, financially, for the most part. Not in a lot of other ways, but I think most people, or a lot of people, gauge their lives on their finances. So for a lot of people, it has been going well. However, that certainly could end at any time. And so how can we learn to see things as, they're here and to appreciate them and not feel like, one, we're entitled to this good stuff, and at the same time that we're not invulnerable, that anything can happen. And so we better appreciate what we have when we have it. Eckhart Tolle talks about how a lot of times we think we shouldn't be challenged for some reason, and that really that's what life is about, is it's here to challenge us, push us, help us learn something new, and help us grow. And that we're not meant to be happy every single minute of every day. And so if we're feeling sad or depression or anxiety, like those are normal things. And usually, unless you have a clinical issue, usually they are caused by something happening situationally. So how can we use those as a way to bring more gratitude? In times of uncertainty, which we are certainly in now, we realize we are powerless and we can't really control our destiny. For a long time, what I've been hearing from the business owners that I work with is that they just don't know how to plan anything because they don't know what's going to happen. Now, I feel like we're sort of figuring it out now, figuring out what types of things we need to do to stay safe and to take care of each other and all those sorts of things. And that business can still go on. We just might have to adapt and do it differently. But when things are uncertain, it can certainly make us feel unsteady. And so that also, though, means that we stop taking things for granted. We start to appreciate what we do have. I was just talking to a client yesterday where they were looking back over their business over the pandemic. And while it was certainly hard and challenging, business was good. They made money. They actually did very well. And now they're in a space where they're just even more busy because things are coming back online and they're a bit overwhelmed. And so, but it was a moment of, well, let's be grateful that you were able to make it through, that you'll be okay. Because then they immediately go to this place of fear, like, well, what if that all disappears tomorrow? And it could, certainly. And there's a level of trust. And so if we can be grateful and put those feelings out into the universe, does that come back and help us? All right. And then a crisis can make us more grateful. So this is what I've been talking about. So gratitude can also help us cope with a crisis. And it also builds sort of an immune system. So when something happens, it kind of, the gratitude that we have just for life in general or for the bigger view can cushion the fall. It's not as stressful. It also helps us become more resilient to stress when we have that attitude. And so the practice is that this guy was talking about is remember the bad, which seems weird. But if you remember the bad stuff you've been through, and then you see where you are, you can see how resilient you are, how adaptable you are, all those sorts of things, and that you've made it through that thing, and that you can probably make it through anything pretty much. So those things are really important. And then when we remember the worst times, we can see where we were, and our minds start to kind of say, oh yeah, we were there, now we're here. This makes us happier because we're here and we got through it. Or at least it makes us less not happy. And then enhance our sense of well-being. It makes us feel better about who we are. So some practices for you to do for the next week or so, or just for the rest of your life, but I would try to implement them for the next week. So first of all, is take time each day just to be present. If you go on a walk, notice your surroundings, really look at things. You don't have to label them. You don't have to say anything about them or even think anything about them. Just look at a tree. Look at the sky, look at a bird flying by. There's no reason to label it or say anything about it. Just notice it. If there's a breeze, feel the wind on your skin. If it's a little chilly as fall starts to come, feel that chilliness, right? And just appreciate all those little things, because those are the little things are really what makes this practice really, really valuable. At the end of the day, write down your top 3 to 5 things. I know you've all heard of the gratitude journal. But yeah, just take some time to write the top 3 to 5 things. It doesn't have to be long, and it can be, just make them detailed and just little. I am grateful for the walk I got to go on with my dog today. I mean, it can be super simple like that. So 3 to 5 things. And at the end of those, just say thank you. Put it out there, whether you believe in God or universe or whatever, or nothing, just say thank you. Like, that's all there is to do with this, and receive it. Receive all the blessings that come in all the different ways, because there's lots of them and we miss them. And we get so focused on what's not going well that we really, really, really miss the little things that are perfect. So practice an attitude of gratitude, see how that changes your life, your business, your relationships. And hopefully I will see you here tomorrow. Have a great day.